for the UNITE study, and to answer your question, basically this was a retrospective cohort study looking at treatment outcomes with Enfortumab vedotin and other targeted drugs in advanced and metastatic urothelial carcinoma. The initial data of the UNITE study was published now about a year ago, a little over a year ago in 2021, as a publication in Cancer. And the goals with that initial report were twofold. One was to confirm whether the real-world outcomes with Enfortumab vedotin would replicate the data that we were observing in clinical trials with this drug. And we were able to see that basically the real-world data was pretty consistent with what we observed in clinical trials. And then the other major question we attempted to answer is whether Enfortumab vedotin benefit extends to subsets of patients that were potentially excluded from, or at least underrepresented in clinical trials. So these include patients with significant comorbidities like impaired renal function, diabetes, baseline neuropathy. Also patients of clinically interesting subsets, such as those with variant histology, or patients with FGFR3 alterations, for instance. So for which really the outcomes data with Enfortumab vedotin from clinical trials was either not reported or underreported. And what we saw is really that across the board, Enfortumab was pretty active and had good clinical activity across all these subsets of patients. And so as one of our next steps, we then wanted to look at, additional questions that come up, such as are there biomarkers that we can find that predict or at least indicate more favorable responses with Enfortumab vedotin, and that was some of the motivation behind the current analysis.